to my proposal for an official Magic the Gathering companion app. First up is our agenda. The first thing we will talk about is what do we need, specifically at Wizards of the Coast, then the market for that we are targeting, and the features this new app will have and how they will help with those needs, the budget for what we're doing, and the conclusion, and finally, I will ask questions. So, the first need we have is advertisements. You can never really have too many advertisements. I mean, if your target demographic doesn't really know about your products, how can they buy anything? How can you expect to make any money? And that's why product advertisements are important. The problem is that our advertisements are a bit deficient. As of right now, we really only advertise on our social media pages, and yeah, that's pretty much it, and through our own website, but advertisements that's not a very interesting demographic to target because people who are following our social media or following our websites are probably already in the know. And what we need are people that really aren't. Low tournament attendance. If you'll notice, the Star City Games tournaments have basically never gotten to their full capacity, which is not very good because, first off, more tournaments mean more prize money, means a more interesting tournament for people to watch because there's more people. And it also makes it much easier, since the cap is a nice round number, it makes it much easier to run the tournament without having to give people buys or stuff like that. And yeah, tournament is really the lifeblood of Magic the Gathering. This is what separates it from many other trading card games, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon. Their tournament scene isn't nearly as good as ours, and the fact that it's not getting as much people as it needs to is really bad. Decision paralysis. There are dozens of apps on the App Store that are unofficial companion apps. Of course, the problem with unofficial companion apps is that they don't advertise, they don't make us any money, which can be a problem. And with decision paralysis, there's so many different ones people might have a hard time choosing, and they might end up with none. By creating our own official app, we will give them a singular answer of which one to choose. And now for the market. Now, the majority of players that play Magic the Gathering are really just casual players. So and they won't really download any apps and such because they really just play on kitchen table. So our market is primarily targeting enfranchised players. Most casual players would never download an app regardless of who made it. And we expect among players only around a 20% adoption rate, which is fine because there are a lot of Magic the Gathering players, and casuals make up the majority, but most of our money comes from competitive players. So what features does this app have to help make the game easier? The first is a life tracker. Tracking life in Magic the Gathering can be difficult, and if you forget to keep track of your life, if one player forgets, it can kind of grind the whole game to a halt. Usually people use D20s, which are good to an extent, but the problem is if someone bumps the table, it just might knock the die over, and then now you have no idea. That's why a life tracker would really help. With a life tracker, you can increment it by 1, or you can set it to a specific value. And for each life you are tracking, you can give it a name to make it easier to track in multiplayer games with like 3 or 4 people, or sometimes even up to 8. And the next is a searchable card database. With this, players can search for cards that they want to know about, and it will give them the up-to-date text along with up-to-date rulings. This is important because a lot of old cards are templated pretty badly and have since been updated, but it's Yeah, and you want the official current text, not what is written on them. And with a searchable card database, it can also help people find cards they happen to be wanting. And a searchable rules database. Going back to the rules thing, Magic the Gathering has some pretty complex rules. And with a searchable rule database, they won't have to worry about having to just argue or play rock, paper, scissors to see whose rule question is right. And the rule database will be searchable both by keywords or by type, which will be useful because it is a very big document. And a list of cards the player has or wants. Keeping track of your collection in Magic the Gathering can be annoying because you have so many cards, and storing them all can be a pain in a way you can easily search them. So by storing them all on this app, they can just have a digital version so that they can just do a quick little search to figure out if they have a card. And of course, by knowing what cards you have, it can also be easy to categorize which cards you want if you're searching for specific ones. Next is a deck builder. The deck builder lets them build decks, as the name suggests. You can also use cards from your collection or just any cards whatsoever, and you can add those cards you don't have to your want list in your collection. The deck builder supports all official formats as well as casual formats. Next is a dice roller. Now, in Magic the Gathering, sometimes you have to decide things randomly, and sometimes you need a dice. But sometimes normal dice don't really cut it, because if you have an odd number of things, like randomly choosing one of 27 cards, that can be, you can't really just roll a dice because there are no D27s, at least none you can acquire easily. So a dice roller would allow you to easily decide that. And finally, an event locator. An event locator will list locations of events near you, which can help you find game stores you can play at, different events. You can search for specific types, like if you want to play a commander, or if you want to play standard or modern, you can search for all that. And in-app advertisements. This is the primary benefit for us as a company. New products, we can advertise new products that we are releasing. Some people may not always keep up to date with all the new products, so we can just say, whenever a new product comes out, we can just send a push notification that appears for them so that they can know what products are out. You can also have in-app advertisements to show that. We can also advertise for nearby tournaments in the area, which can help with the whole low tournament attendance thing. We can also advertise streamed events, such as streamed tournaments, which will also help boost tournament attendance because it will get people excited actually about tournaments, and will also boost ad revenue for that stuff. Yep, push notifications, new product releases, nearby tournaments, small local game store events, and our budget. The budget will be divided into two sections. Our one-time development cost, which is how much it will cost to make the app, and yearly maintenance. Yearly maintenance can only be calculated once per year because there is no telling how long this app will be supported. It could be over a few years or over a decade. So for the development budget, because this is an app, all of our budget comes from the salary of the various positions. The project manager, which is me, will make $45 hourly, and throughout the whole development cycle, which you can read on my final report, which goes in depth on what exactly we will be doing at each time. Then there's the programming team manager, who makes a good amount. The database engineer, along with the front-end and back-end developers, are pretty good. Then we have the designers, then the external marketer, and the in-app marketer. The external marketer is in charge of marketing things like putting ads for our app on our website, pushing out stuff on our social media, and the in-app marketer controls what we are getting in-app. And the total budget is $460,000 for the total development. And the yearly maintenance budget. Now, because maintenance it's a bit hard to estimate because we have no idea how many bugs could crop up, which could increases the price a lot, or we could have nothing and it could go much less. So this is my estimate for how much it will cost a year to maintain. $31,000, $31,000 and $500. Conclusion. In conclusion, this will help by giving us by advertising our product and giving us tournament attendance, increasing tournament attendance, which will be very useful. We can help avoid decision paralysis by giving everyone one unified application, which is nice because we can also ensure that the text is consistent and correct, and all the rules are up to date and correct. Any questions? No? Okay then. Thank you for listening to my presentation.